Okay, so there. Good. Okay. Um, like just our agenda today is just like I mentioned last week, there's Photoshop, Lightroom, and kind of an open. And we've switched the timelines just to accommodate Darlene a little bit. Oh, here we go. We got another person. There, Alan.
Hi.
Good. We're just going to get started here. I'm just saying that we're going to switch the time frame around just a little bit to accommodate our guest speaker here, Darlene. And I'll introduce Darlene now. I went to school with Darlene. She was from just south of the little village of Ninga. She was always the smart one in school. She had her homework done. She was always well prepared, sort of like a sleeping giant. She's a heck of a photographer and very familiar with Photoshop and Lightroom and a whole pile of other editing programs. And on top of all that, she's kind of my leaning post. If I have a problem, I give Darlene a call and say, "Hey, how do I do this?" And so she's a lot older. No, maybe not that much older. It's all yours, Darlene.
Boy, we're nickel and diamond there. Oh, hi, everybody. Thanks for having me this afternoon. So I'll just start sharing my screen and get talking about layers, and maybe I'll find out from some of you, how much experience you've had. Have we got a lot of real beginners here on working in layers in Photoshop, or lots of experience? So why don't you just one at a time tell me? So maybe I'll call out names. Is it David
Yes,
Lloyd?
it is.
That's what, okay. Sometimes the names
Because
on aren't there.
because I really don't look like Beth.
No.
I've
So
been I've been using Photoshop for a lot of years, but still I have to confess that I'm still learning. And if I don't use it for a day, I probably forget it, what I've been doing anyway.
yeah. Okay, and Ed?
Um, I do Photoshop a bit, but it's mostly Lightroom that I work on.
Okay.
So I'm very interested in seeing what you have to say about layers.
Okay, and Brian?
Modest experience with Photoshop and layers. In fact, I go back, I really do like or did like On One. It doesn't like me or my computer, and only 2 or 3 years old, and I've spent oodles of time with tech support with On One, but nonetheless, I've succumbed to Adobe, and they have both Lightroom and Photoshop. And I want to show you at the end of when we get to the end of the presentations today, something I've done to help me find the if you like the tutorial that I want, rather than having it all bunched together. I've come up with a way of organizing them, so I'll show you that. But nonetheless, it seems to me you have to be on for 24/7 to learn it, because you turn it off for a week or so, something's changed, and oh my goodness. Anyway, yes, looking forward to seeing
Okay.
your presentation on layers.
Brian, I think it sounds a little bit like an AA meeting.
Yeah.
Given up on one.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
So
yeah.
Connie.
Yes. Hi, Darlene.
Hi.
I don't have Lightroom. I'm working with Photoshop Elements 2025 right now. And so
Okay.
far, it seems to have most of what Photoshop has. The goal is to graduate to Photoshop and Lightroom.
Yeah, the problem with Photoshop Elements is that everything's in a different spot and it does so many good things, but you really have to either use it or Photoshop, because I always found that things were kind of upside down on Elements. They're there, but they wanted to have it different.
And so
Yeah.
I'm been able to, the things that we've talked about at Manitoba Camera Club and other things, I've been able to do so far with Elements. There are some things that I can't, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around layers and masks and things like
Oh,
that. So
okay.
once I get there, then I'll be ready to
Okay.
graduate.
Okay, and Ken.
Hello. Yes, I've enjoyed Photoshop, the basics. I have a CS5, and but I've never really mastered layers. So I'm, wanting to see what I can learn about that.
Okay. And
Yeah, thank
Alan.
you.
I mainly use ON1 for my editing. I would jump over to Photoshop or Lightroom sometimes when I ran into things that I wanted to do that I couldn't do, but that's becoming less and less necessary. I'm not sure where to plant myself in terms of experience. I use layers a lot, masking a lot. I'm trying to get used to the new masking layers that ON1 just introduced, and I noticed Lightroom use them as well. I think they call it stacking though. But at any rate, yeah, I really enjoy doing compositions and sort of creating things. So
Good. Well, I'll share my screen and we'll get on with what I have to say. Photoshop, here we go. Okay, I gotta let it there. It's kind of settled down. So I just made a little title slide here. So I'm going to do everything in Photoshop just to keep it simple and easier with this screen sharing. It's not always easy to use, a program to do the little show part in. So this is all done as layers, and there was a background layer and then we've got some text layers. So I'll show you what to do. And both of these images were composed using a lot of layers. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that one. I thought I'd call this Layer It On. And okay. So I thought today we might just start with creating a simple collage like this, where you're going to put 4 different pictures or however many you want, but 4 always works well, on a background, and then add a little bit of text here and put some effects around each layer. So each one of these pictures is a layer and the background is a separate layer. Now I'm going to have to hide you guys somehow here. Oh, there. Okay, you're gone. Much as I'd like to see what your expressions are or see you as I'm working, I can't see my whole screen. So you guys are seeing the whole screen. You're over here, you're seeing history and layers.
yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. So I don't know how you have your Photoshop set up. This is how I like to keep mine. I like to have the history here and I like to have the layers here, and you can reverse those, whatever works for you. But those are the 2 important ones to have. And when we're working in layers, you have to be able to see all the layers. So I'm going to close this guy and I'll go. This seems kind of tedious, but it was the only way I could figure out how to do it. So this is the Photoshop file, and this is one where I put a different picture in here than what I just showed you. So the nice thing about having a Photoshop file is that you can change this. If I take this layer, just a second here, I'm going to get the move tool. If I want to click on that layer, you'll notice over here, it came up with layer 8, and I can move that. I can do whatever I want. I can change it around. Okay. And the way to think about layers is, remember the old encyclopedias that we all ended up having, and there was the human body and there were these transparent pages and you kept turning them and adding on to the body, adding organs into the body or whatever. And that's basically what layers is doing. It's these pages and you're putting one on top of the other and building something, and you can see through the different layers. So in this case, I took 4 different pictures and I put it on this transparent background. And then I added the text. And the important thing is to save this as you're working, because if your computer crashes or there's some little glitch, you can lose everything. So keep saving this as a Photoshop file so that you've got all your layers here. And I'm just going to move this, whoops, move it up a bit. And I'll scroll down over here on the layers, and you can see we've got all these layers. I have another layer here that I turned the eyeball off on, and you've had experience with layers, so you probably know you can hide a layer. I'll just hide the text right now by clicking off the eyeball. It's still there, we're just not seeing it. So then I had another picture that I thought I'd put in instead of this guy here, which I think was layer 8. I'm going to turn it off, and I'll turn this one on, and we've got a different setup. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn off all these layers and keep this. No, maybe I better start right from scratch. I'll start right from scratch. So I'm going to close this, and it's because I've made some changes, it's going to want me to save the file. And it doesn't matter how many layers I have turned off, because when I save it as a Photoshop file, I can always go back. And you always want to do that because, for example, in this this text layer, if I wanted to change this, now that I've changed one picture here, this isn't Riverside Bridge anymore. This is just another bridge on the Souris River. So maybe I might as well do this right now while I'm here. I want to change my text. I just click on there and take my text tool. And with the text tool, you have to highlight. So you got to bring the cursor over until it turns to a single stroke on it, and click and drag. So I'll call this, I'm going to change this. Oh, I'm just going to replace that font. I did this on a different computer, so I didn't have the same font. And I think I missed the E. Okay, so I'm just going to change this to Bridges on the Souris. So that's how easy it is to change your text as long as you have a Photoshop file. And another good reason for saving a Photoshop file is if you make a spelling error in any text, or if you didn't line your pictures up exactly, and after you print them, you want to go back and make a change, you can always do that in the Photoshop file. So I'm just gonna go File, Save As, and over here you'll see Shift and Control and S is Save. And it's really worth learning a bunch of these shortcuts, because I never go File, Save As. I just go Shift, Control, S and save it. So it says commit the type error or edits, and I will. And then it's going to go in here as another collage, and I'll just put sample, just so that I know that I don't need that one later. Okay, so any questions so far? Okay, I'm going to start with a file, and I'm going to make a new file. So we would just go File, New, and then I get all these choices, and I'm just going to make it, I think I'll leave it this 17 by 14, 300 pixels per inch. And you have to make sure you're working in 300 pixels per inch. If you're using photos from your iPhone, they'll come in at 72 dpi, and I think Canon also comes in at 72 dpi. We'll just leave the background white, and I'll say create. So we've now got a place that we can put the pictures. Before we put the pictures on, I'm going to do a color on this because I just don't want plain white. So the last time I did some blues, and that's over here, but I'll just go right from the beginning. This here is the gradient tool or the paint bucket tool. So we could just do a solid color, pick a blue and do it solid. but the gradient looks kind of nice, so I'm going to use it. Click on it, and up here you'll notice it changed to gradient. We'll go into the blues, and it doesn't really matter. We can change this after, so we'll just pick it. And when you're doing gradients, you've got all kinds of choices. We could have the center lighter and the outsides darker or whatever. I think I'll just take a linear gradient, and you start at the top and just pull down. And you can see it's changing, so it depends what you want. So maybe we'll have the top a little bit lighter. Okay, so you notice over here we've got a background and then we've got a gradient fill. So already we've got a layer. I can turn the gradient off and just have white, or turn it back on. So I'll just take the move tool, and that gets me off the gradient tool. And I'm going to open up some pictures here. So I've got my Riverside ones, and I'll do 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take that one and this one and open those 4. So I'll just minimize. So I'm going to pull them down because with this zoom, it seemed to be hard to find these pictures after. So let's take this picture, and you'll notice I have rulers up, and I don't know whether you guys have the rulers set on your machine or not, but I can't live without my rulers in inches, and I think you do that in preferences under, I'm just going to look here. Yeah, edit way down here, preferences, and you'll want to do units and rulers. And then you set it so that it comes up as inches. And it's so much easier to have that right there. So when I want to, I'll get rid of this guy. I'm just going to put these down here. Okay, so I'm going to just start with this picture. And when I want to move this onto my background, you don't grab this part and try and put it there. I've had so many students phone me and say, I can't make my picture go one on top of each other. It's the picture we're moving, not this whole file. So we're going to take the move tool, which is up here, and click and drag. And you see there's a little plus sign now under the cursor. So that means it's going to add that image onto our background. Okay. Oh, I didn't mean to do that, sorry. Just gonna get this a little wee bit bigger so we can see. Okay, so I'll just put that one there for the moment, and I'm done with this one. I can close it out. Okay, this is the next one, the move tool. Now, if I held down shift and then click on this and drag and move it, there it is. And when you hold down shift, it puts it right in the center. It centers everything. So that's really nice when you're just using one picture and you want to put it on a background and have it totally centered. So now I'll take my move tool and drag it around. I'm going to put that one there, this one here, another one here. Again, move it. So I'll just move it on here. And I'm going to close that one. This is my next one. And I'll just drag that one on. So you can see they're too big. They're not the right size to be on here. We could have resized them all. Or in this case, I'm going to take this picture and go Control T. And Control T is transform. You can also go edit and then down to transform, and you just click on it. We'll do free transform. So that's Control T. So again, learn those shortcuts. And I'll just make it about like that. And I'll put it over in this corner. This one, I'll go Control T again. Oops, I'm not on the right one. Okay, the other thing, if you don't select the right layer, you take a look up at the top here where it says auto select. And if that is checked, then whatever you click on is what you select. If that isn't checked, I could click here and I'm still on that first layer, the three arches that I had just clicked on. So if you're having problems selecting, check that auto select.
Darlene, I should, if you don't mind, I don't know whether you want some interruptions as you go or leave them for.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, already it's worth the money I paid for this
Oh,
because I've had problems with exactly what you've just described. With
okay.
I didn't realize the auto select had to be on. I found out the hard way, or so maybe I just clicked and played around.
Yeah.
Just one other item. When you drag those four images into the program, they
Mhm.
didn't go into the screen, did they? They were just sort of floating at the bottom of the screen. So where are they? Where are those four images before you put them into the screen that you're working on?
Oh,
Page
normally
you're working on.
I would just minimize them, but because on Zoom I couldn't get them up off the bottom. Yeah.
Oh,
So I just pulled them and just left them kind of sitting along the bottom where I could still see the bars on them.
all right.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, but are they in the program at that point when
Yeah,
you,
they were in, I opened them into the program.
but
Uh,
not onto a page, the
just
new picture
nope,
created.
I just had them here. Like I've got another one under here. See this bar here?
Okay.
And if I click on it, um, there's that picture. I didn't close it out. So
Okay.
right now, I'll just pull it down and I'm just setting it here. Normally I would minimize it and then it would still be along the bottom here in Photoshop, but on Zoom I can't do that. It won't let
Mhm.
me bring them back up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So
Darlene,
now,
is
mhm.
there Darlene, is there any way that you can uh, have all four, if you, as an example, pick the size of 3 by 4 on one picture, where you can have 4 by 3 committed to all the pictures, save having to adjust each one?
You'd have to run an action. You'd have to write an action, and that's a
Okay.
whole other lesson.
Yeah,
So
no, that's
you
not
would
the
write
lesson. Yeah.
an action and then do that.
Yep.
So right now I could have sized these, but I just thought to show you how to transform and, this is not the best way to make them all the same.
Hmm.
So
Well,
I'm
that's
just going to
good.
see if I can get them kind of similar.
Yep. That's
They're
great.
not,
Thank you.
they're not too bad. This one looks a little bit bigger. Let's make it a bit smaller there. Okay, another thing that Photoshop has introduced, which is kind of nice, is when you bring this, like I'm clicking on this bottom picture and I'm holding and moving it, and you see that pink line?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, the pink line is showing that I'm lined up exactly with the
Fine.
picture on the right. Now, whoops, I'm lined up. Oh, gee, it isn't moving very smoothly. I can bring it over so it's lined up. There it is on the left now. It's lined up. And when I click on this one on the bottom, and I'm going to bring it up and try and get it even, there. Now everything is squared off. So you can see all those pink lines. So they've built in guidelines, which will disappear as soon as I let go of the mouse. So there's your four pictures. It's not done as well as I did it in my sample one, but just so you have an idea, if you don't like where they're arranged, I think, we might want to have this one up here, and then I'll click on this, which is layer 3, and I'll just bring it down. And in layers, this guy's smaller, isn't he? Control T, just make them a little bit bigger. So just as a rough sample, that's the way we could leave it. Again, this one's a little bit bigger than this guy. So we'll do the Control T. But you could size them all the same size, like so many inches by so many inches, and it'd be easier to bring them in. Okay. So we've got our 4 pictures on here. We've got all our layers. You can turn one off, you can turn it on, whatever you want. Now, on my other one, I added the text. So let's do a text layer. And usually text is a whole other lesson, but we'll cover a lot of stuff this afternoon. So I click on T, and I get a bar up at the top here that gives me the fonts. Maybe we'll pick a script one just for fun. And here's your size. And this is the color the text will be. It isn't these colors over here. The text has its own color box. So we could do the dark blue. That would be okay. Or I could click on it and just pick a color out of in one of the pictures. Because as soon as you take your cursor over here, there's a little eyedropper and it can pick whatever color you want. So if you wanted to pick color from there, or if you want a color from over here, just whatever you want. So we'll just go into the dark blue and I'll just click once and it shows you what the font is going to be. So we'll call this Bridges on the Surus. And it's too big for that space, but for the moment, we'll just move it. Kind of there, it's showing that it's centered. And that is really helpful with text. So when I click on it, that pink line appeared. Now to make it smaller, I have to select all that text. So click the T, and you see how it's got a box around it. You move it over until it's just the cursor. And then click and drag to highlight, and we'll maybe make this 60 points. So there's our text. And if I had made a spelling error, I can come back a month from now, or I can come back a year from now and change this text around as long as you save this as a Photoshop file. So that's something I should do. So I'm going to save as, so that's Control and Shift and S. And then it comes up with a box to let you name it. So we'll just say Demo Bridges. And just save. And now we're safe. If we had a computer crash, something happened, we've got our file.
Excuse me, darling. It's Brian again. Is history saved as well when you do that?
Yeah, history's all here until
Yes.
you close the picture. And that's the really nice thing in Lightroom, because you seem to be able to go back and re-edit. It's non-destructive editing. But Photoshop, as soon as I close this file, that history is gone.
Wow.
So right now, if I wanted to go back, and go back to this point here, I can just click on it and things have moved around. The text has disappeared.
Mm.
You can save, and you'll only have so many steps of history. I maybe have mine set for 50 steps. That's in the preferences too, and you set how much history you want to keep, because if you're keeping 100 steps, that's using a lot of your power. So Photoshop might start to run slower. So I think I've got, not sure, I seem to have a lot of steps here already. So I'm thinking I might have it set at 50 steps. I used to keep it at 25. So just another thing that you can set. Okay, so the other thing I did on my collage, and it's something that you might like to try, on each picture, let's put an effect, because they're just sitting on a colored background right now. So if you go to this FX here, you can add a layer style. And here's all your choices. And I think what we'll do, we'll put a drop shadow on them. And that always gives them a little lift. So we're going to have our shadow. whatever color you want, but in this case, let's just use a black so that it shows up really well. And we usually go, depends where your light source is, but I usually set it for about 120 degrees. So I'll actually type that in. And if I go over here, which layer are we on here? We're on this one up here. We want to make the size a little bit bigger. So you can see that line coming now around this picture over here. And we can adjust the distance. You can adjust all kinds of things. So the distance, see, is taking it right down on the right-hand side. I think I'll just bring it back to about, let's leave it there at 27. The spread is how far away from the picture it goes. So you don't want it to be crazy, but that already gives it a 3D look. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And then for each layer, you would do the same. So we're going to go to, I'm going to get rid of that. When you want to get rid of a tool, like I've got the type tool here, just go to this move, the little cross arrows up here. Okay, so I'm going to click on this layer and it automatically went to layer 3. Add the effects. I'll just add the drop shadow. And it automatically is set. It retained the settings, so we'll just keep doing that for each one. This one, add a drop shadow.
It has to be done individually, Darlene. You can't
I think it
select
does,
all.
Brian. I'm not sure if you can select them. You might be able to.
I
That's
see.
something for you to experiment with.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, we could try it because I'm going to add another effect. And so we could just start on the layer that we're on. Let's add a stroke. So it'll be a line around the picture.
Oh, a border, yeah.
And we will make it, I think the white will probably show up okay. Then this is inside here. And so I think we want it on the outside of our picture. And I'm going to make it bigger so that you can see. Let's try 7 pixels. We'll just say okay. So here's the stroke. This is the layer I was on, so you can see the stroke there. Now down here, if you decide after, well, I don't want that stroke, you can just turn the eyeball off on the stroke. So you can turn it on and off and decide if you want to keep that. So we could do that for each one. There is a way to, I'm just going to right click and see if this works. Right click. We can copy that layer style. So I'm going to copy it and I'm going to go here on this one and I'll right click and I will paste layer style. So there's the stroke. So you can keep it consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So you do that for each one of these. Then maybe you find, I'm going to just, for the sake of time, I won't do them all. I'm going to find my text layer here. Heck, I'll just click on it. Come on. There it is. Let's add an effect to it too. So maybe we want to do, on text, I often do bevel and emboss because it makes it more 3D. You can see already whatever this is pillow emboss. So I'll click the preview off. That's what we started with. And this is what we've got now. So we can change the depth. We can change the size. Obviously that isn't working well, but just to give it some depth and some effect. So you could add a drop shadow to this. You can do a stroke. And over here, you know, I could click on stroke and there it put that white stroke. So those are all the effects that you can apply to text or to your pictures. So I'm just going to say okay to that. And again, you see that it put little eyeballs here. We can take the bevel and emboss off and we're just left with the stroke. Or we could take the stroke off and just be left with bevel and emboss. So there's lots for you to play around in this and just have fun. We don't have time to be going through all the little settings, but I think you'll have fun with that one. Okay, so it's been a while since I saved. So I'm going to save it with the same name. I can just go File, Save, or I can just hit Control and S. So learn some of these shortcuts because they'll save you so much time and it makes it a lot easier. So we've saved it. Now my stroke was disabled, so I'll put it back on just for fun. And basically there's your collage. So if I'm done, I'm going to flatten this. So there's always two ways to do stuff in Photoshop. So the way I do flatten, I go to these three little lines on the layers panel, and all these options come up, and down here is flatten image. And you can see now we've only got one layer. So we can't change anything, we can't move anything, we can't do anything. I'll just go back. Okay, I've got all my layers, and the way you maybe flatten is to go layer, and then down here, takes me a minute because I don't do it this way. Here it is, way down here, flatten image. So I find it handier to do it from those three lines and then flatten image. It just keeps things a little handier here. So now this is still a Photoshop file, but we don't have layers, so we have to go File, Save As. So Control, Shift, and S. And then we change this to JPEG here. So it's going to be the same name for the file, but it's going to be a JPEG file. And we want to save it at the best possible quality, so 12, and say OK. So there's your collage. So that's something you can do after, is make a background, take 3 or 4 pictures that you have fixed up and put them on the background and add some effects to them. So any questions on that? We're good? Okay.
Just a comment on that expression of the term to flatten, Darlene. So you're condensing all those 4 pictures into just one file now?
That's right.
And can you go back and open that up again?
I can go back and open
like,
up the Photoshop file. So let's go open recent. This is your last about 20 recent files that you've worked on. So let's pick the Photoshop one. And here it comes, and here are all the layers. Okay.
That term flatten has always confused me, because sometimes when you're looking at a photograph, people will say, oh, that's kind of flat. It needs a little boost to it and so on. And it confused me at first. I didn't quite know what it was.
Yeah, you're flattening the layers. So when you flatten the layers, you're reducing the file size. So if you look down here, this file is 115.7 megs. Okay. So then let's just go and open the JPEG version. So 115, and it's now 59 megs. So when you flatten images, it makes them a lot more compact, takes up a lot less space. Okay, so I'm going to try doing something else for you here. So we'll go into our little folder again, and we are at this part where we're going to do this old car. 3, 4, 5. Well, let's try opening 5 of them. This one we're not going to need for a little while, and this one we're not going to need for a little while. Okay, this is I'm going to get this guy down here out of the way. This is the image that I'm going to start with. And this is out in the countryside, and obviously there's a nice Ukrainian lady that lives down the road, and she loves to put these flowers on this old vehicle. And this year when we went, oh my God, she'd added the chickens and the swan. So so I was kind of like, oh gee, I've got some Photoshop to do on this because I didn't think I really wanted the broken chickens and swans in the picture. But I just thought I'd do this to show you how you can put textures onto pictures and just change the effects. So this is what we're going to start with. Uh, Again, I'm scared to minimize these. Usually you can, but it's just because of Zoom I can't. And this is what we're going to end up with. And you see the texture that I've added that went into the sky. We've changed how the body is looking and added a texture here, and you'll see what all these are about. So I'm just going to click these layers off. Okay, how are we doing? Yep, we got everything off. So this is what I started with, was the background. And then I made a background copy, so I'll take you through that. But this part I probably won't do removing things. That's just cloning in or having the program clone these ornaments out. So these are the remove tool edits. So there goes that one, and here goes this one. And then I took a texture and I added it on. And then I added this foggy fields, which is just some out of focus kind of dandelions or something. It was something that I had. And so what you want to start doing is keeping a file of textures. You get lots of free ones. If you're in the Manitoba Camera Club, everything has to be your own pictures. So you should be trying to take your own textures, pictures of, you know, peeling paint and rusty things, and then use your own textures if you're going to be entering competitions there. So that's what I ended up with. So I'm probably not going to remove the swans as I demonstrate. So it's just so you can see. So what I'm going to do is close down my Photoshop file, but you can see the value of having a Photoshop file so that you can go back and change things. I can say, I don't really like this texture, so I'm going to put another one on the picture. So here we go. I'm going to close that guy, and I don't want to save the changes. And this is our file that we're starting out with. So we'll say that we've done all our work on it. Like you want to be adjusting the levels first, you know, you want to be doing your levels and various things. So I would, oh, the levels are really good on this. I must have fixed it up already. So we'll just get started on this. First thing you want to do is always keep your background layer, and you'll notice it's got a little lock beside it, so it doesn't let you do a lot with it. So we're going to click on that gray bar there and pull down and add a layer or a copy of that layer. There's always many ways to do things in Photoshop. You might want to click on the background and go layer. We want to do, we aren't going to do an adjustment layer. I don't go this way, you guys, so I'm finding it hard to do a new layer. Oh yeah, here, layer, new, and you want to do a new layer or a layer from background there. Okay, I just find it so easy to do this, pulling down to the plus sign here, and that's how I do my background copies or a copy of any layer. Okay, so this is the one we want to work on so that we've always got this guy kind of as our safety net. And this is where I did, where I got rid of the chickens or whatever. So I'll just do that real quick on one of them. We can use whatever tool we want here. We could use the lasso or the elliptical. I think I might use just the rectangular one just to see how it does here. Oops. And I'm going to just draw around my chicken. I'll hit delete. Because I want to, now you can use generative fill if you want, which would be just fine, as long as you're not going to put it into a competition. You can just use remove, or I'm just going to hit delete and see what happens. Oh, it didn't do anything. So maybe I'll have to do the remove. Oh, that's generative AI. I didn't want to do that. I can't do delete. So I'm just going to go back in my history to duplicate layer. And I think I'll do the lasso around it. No, that didn't work. Come on. With the lasso, you always have to connect to where you started. And let me see if I do delete here. Oh, I know why it's doing that. When I delete it, it's deleting, but then I've got that background layer, so the chicken is still there. So let's just do the generative fill just for the sake of time here, and we'll just generate. Let it do it. It's always fun to see what it does. This is like watching paint dry because we're going up to the cloud and coming back down. It's going to give me 3 choices here of how it sees replacing chicken. So we've got that one, we've got that one, which looks a little better right in here, I think. And that one, the color is a bit off. I think we'll just go there. We'll keep that one. Okay, so we won't do the other 2 because you see the general idea of what we're doing. So now we want to bring in a texture. So let me see. It's usually a lot easier than this. Okay, here we go. I don't even think this is the texture I used. The important thing is to know what size your image is. So I'm going to go image, image size, and it is 10 inches by 7.32, and it's 300 DPI, and that's really important to know.
DPI.
So we'll say, okay. And then this one, let's size it so that it will fit on there. So we're going to go image, image size. Oh, it's 10 by 10. Now this is keeping the proportions right when it's locked like this, but we want to unlock that because we want this to be 7.32 so that it will fit on our picture, and 300 DPI. And that's really important to have the DPI the same, or else the picture won't fit. You can do that unconstrained proportions with a texture because it doesn't matter whether it's squished or whether it's out of, if the proportions aren't right. You can't do that if it's a picture of a horse, for example. Okay, so I'm going to move this. So I've got the move tool and I hold down shift because I want to center this on top of my car and just pull it anywhere there until the plus sign appears. Oops. Oh, and this is just one's sRGB and the other is RGB, so we're not going to worry about that. That's fine. Let's just get this out of the road. Okay, so you can see it's on top of this is on top of everything. And to be able to see through it, we're going to use these blending modes here. So this is another really important part of layers where you can blend pictures in. When you click on that, you get all these choices. We're normal. Dissolve isn't going to do anything. This next group affects only the dark pixels in the picture. So we'll just run through them. Multiply makes it quite dark. Color burn. The next group affects the light pixels in the picture, so it's not going to work for this, is it? Might work well on another picture, but not here. Then we'll go to overlay, and overlay works well a lot of the time. So we've got overlay, soft light. That's looking a little better. It's giving some texture into the sky. And then hard light. And that's not going to work. These ones down here you don't use very often. They do some really strange things. And the odd time it'll work. It's nice if you want to make it look like night. So I think our best bet, I'll let you guys say which one you like, overlay or soft light. Any preference?
I like soft light.
Okay, let's go with soft light. Now, this is the part that some people, I think were interested in, is how to mask, because you can see we've got streaks through the car. Maybe we don't want that mask on the car. Maybe we don't want it as dark down here. All right. So we want to put a mask on there, and this is the square that you click for layer masks. And when I click it, I have a mask here. So the thing you should be writing down right now is black reveals, white conceals. Those are the most important words. So black conceals and white reveals. So on this mask, we want to make sure that black is our color selected. And we want to take a brush, which is B, or you can go here and click, but I just go B. And then up here are bar change. So here's all the brushes that you have. And we'll just pick a soft round because we want to remove some of this mask and not leave hard lines. Now, will be normal, and then the opacity 100%. A lot of people like to work at about 30%. And when I start to paint with this black, it's going to reveal. So I'm painting off this mask or this texture. So I'm going to make my brush a little bigger, and another important shortcut is the square bracket keys. So the square bracket keys make your brush bigger, or the left square bracket key makes your brush smaller. Conversely, you can go up here and click and drag how many pixels you want the brush, but you can't tell till you go back over here if it's right. So learn to use the square bracket keys. So I've got a brush, and I'm going to start brushing the mask off and watch what happens over here. Or I'm going to brush the texture off and watch what happens in here. Let go, and you see it's showing you that I've taken that part off. I basically removed that part of the mask. So up here where I'm doing 30%, I can click maybe 3 times just on that post, and I'll take it all off. So do you see that disappear? I'll go back. Okay, there's add layer mask. My first little brush thing was down in here. And now 3 times with this tool. Conversely, if you want to just go at 100%, you know what you want to get rid of, go at 100%. So we'll just do that for now. So maybe I don't want this on the flag. You can see it's made the flag. So I'm going to paint it off. There. I don't want it on there. I don't want it on the flowers. So I'll take it off the car. There. So you can see the color coming back in. So let's say I'm working away here and I go up into the sky accidentally. I sneeze or something. And I go up in here and I go, well, I don't want to remove it there. I flip my colors and I start with white, and white conceals. So black reveals, white conceals, and there we see that disappear. So now the mask is back, or the texture is back on there. This is pretty white here. So again, we'll switch our colors, go to black, and we'll take some of that off, the trees and in that area. So that's just a quick little example of using the layer masks. Remember, black conceals and white reveals. Okay, so we'll leave that one. I'm not going to save this one because I don't want to destroy my original demo, and I don't need to keep it. But otherwise, I would save this as a Photoshop file so that I can come back and look at this and go, I don't really like all this white on the trees here. So maybe I'll take my brush and take just 30% opacity. Okay, so you can use this slider to go to 30%, or you can just hit, okay, I'm just going to be on the brush, and you can just hit 3. Hold on, that didn't work. I'll go back. Okay, so it's at 100% right now. It would take all of the texture off if I were to brush, as you can see. Just go back. If I want just 30%, I'm just going to press 3. And did you notice the opacity changed to 30 for your brush? So I'll just take a little bit of this off. So you can change it to 30, 40, 50, whatever you want. It's maybe a little white there, so I'll do it again, and that ended up taking 60% off, 30 and 30. So just another way to mess around with this. I'll show you the next thing in the next little sample. I think I'm running out of time, aren't I? I think I've gone over. I'm not going to save these changes. I want to keep that the way it is, and I'll get rid of that one. No.
Darlene,
Uh-huh.
I think everybody's thoroughly enjoying it. They're not going to have this kind of teaching all the time, so
Oh.
keep going.
Okay, I'll do one more for you because I wanted to just show you one other thing. So file, we'll go to my things here. Yeah, I've just got one more to do. Shift. And do I need that one? That will take. Okay. Okay, that's the texture that we're going to use. Oh, got to remember, don't minimize or I won't be finding it. This is a picture I just took during the smoke season, and it's beautiful the way it is, but I thought, well, we'll just try adding a texture just so you can see what happens and what you could do with something like this. And then I have a bunch of textures that I got from this company called French Kiss. So this is my funny story. I used to be a school secretary at a Catholic school here in Brandon. And one day at school, I had Photoshop elements so that I could do posters and stuff. And I wanted these textures to use for a poster or something. So I merrily Google French Kiss, and it comes up. This site, this site is banned by the Brandon School Division. So then I had to get busy and phone the techies and tell them what I was actually looking for, and they just roared laughing because I said, it's just an artist site. So
Oh, yeah.
they got a good laugh out of that. So, I minimized that. I may have to bring it up again. So what I did, I put that texture over, used a blending mode here of multiply because we've got those modes, remember? And multiply worked the best for this one. So it went from this to this. And you'll notice here there's opacity. So I have it at 40%. I'm going to take that right up. So there it is when I brought that texture in, and it was at 100%, and that's pretty much overkill. And I should be on multiply here, was it? I think that's what I had. Did I change something? No. Okay, I'm going to go back. Hold on. Blending change. No, it's overlay. Sorry. We're good. So then when I thought, well, I'll just tone that down a bit. So you just start playing with the opacity. So there it is at 60. And if you wanted to bring it down so that it's just more of a hint, it just gives it a little bit of an artsy look. So whatever you wanted for your opacity. So that's what I ended up with. I saved it, as you can see, as a Photoshop document. Then when I flattened it, I saved it as a JPEG. So I can get back to this layer. If I printed this and went, oh, wow, I can hardly see the texture, I could increase it up to maybe 60%. And it might look like overkill on the screen, but when you print it, it might work better. So that's why you always want to keep these Photoshop files. So I'm going to close this one and I won't save the changes because I want to keep it the way it was. And we're going to take this picture and we're going to find that texture somewhere. Come on, zoom. Oh, well. So I'll just go open recent and it'll be this pinky one. And it's like a canvas look in this particular group. These French kiss textures are really nice. They've got all kinds of watercolor ones, all kinds of art stuff. So if I'm going to pull this texture onto this picture, what's the one thing I have to remember to do? Who remembers?
They have to be the same size.
Same
Perfect.
size.
That's
Perfect.
DPI.
Yeah, same DPI for sure. I'm not going to size it. This one looks like it's the right size. I'll show you a different way. So I'm just going to take my move tool, hold down shift, pull that texture. Oh yeah, it's fitting good. If it's the wrong size, you can do that Control T, and then you could make
Anybody else frozen?
Yeah, I'm frozen.
I think
Gotta be
Darlene's frozen
Zoom.
right now.
Everything's frozen.
I just sent her a text and computer shut down, coming back, but do something else. Everybody enjoying Darlene's presentation?
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
excellent.
That was great.
Take up the whole show.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm going to tell her when she comes back, and then hopefully we can get her back again.
yeah, would be a nice idea.
Yeah,
I don't know about you people, but
there
I
she
don't know
is.
how many
Okay.
even hear me. Is Darlene back? I won't interrupt her. But I always have to force myself to remember what is black concealing and what is white revealing.
The
I,
layer. It's the new layer that you're adding.
so the layer that goes on top of the original image.
Yeah, the black will conceal whatever content you're adding to that layer, and
Okay,
the white will
yeah,
reveal the content to
yeah,
whatever you're adding to that layer.
right,
Yeah,
right.
I know it's
Yeah.
not fun.
I remember black conceals a triangle by first letters BC, British Columbia. So black conceals British Columbia.
If it was
Darlene?
there, yeah.
I'm back. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to open Photoshop again and just finish that one really quickly. I have a little glitch with this computer that happens now and then, and it happened. Okay, it'll just be a second here. So I'm just going to start Photoshop and then should be able to just share it. Come on, come on. Yeah, that layer masking is very confusing and you just have to keep working at it. Um, there we are. Are you seeing my screen?
No.
No. Okay. I'm just gonna minimize it. Come back to Zoom. I hope. Are we here? Zoom. It's having to work really hard at this. Are there any questions while I'm waiting on this to happen? Come on, come on. I've got Zoom Workplace, but I can't make it big, Brian.
Hmm.
Well, we got through the most most of it. Oh
Well, just to
no.
give you a little pat on the shoulder here, while you were gone, I
Mhm.
asked everybody, I said, are you enjoying it? And they said, yes, we're learning a lot.
Oh,
And I said, maybe we can talk her coming back again sometime. And they all said yes.
oh. Okay, well that's very nice, you guys.
But we're willing to let you leave and
You
then
might
come
have
back.
to because okay, I'm gonna go out again
Mhm.
and see if I can come back in.
I think you can all see when I mentioned Darlene's a very accomplished photographer and very comfortable with her Photoshop and Lightroom.
Yeah. Audio.
Your video is off, Darlene. There
Okay,
you go.
there. All right. I'll try that share and just quickly finish that one up and then you can get on to something else here. Share.
How long have you been working on Photoshop, Darlene?
You know, I started on like Photoshop 2, I think, and they're now.
Oh my goodness me.
So, I used to teach at ACC in the evenings with a friend of mine, and he and I learned together over the phone in those cold winter months. And we would just hang on the phone and say, okay, I'm clicking on this,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and this is
Yeah.
happening. And we learned it like from books. Scott Kelby had books out back
Oh
then.
yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah.
There was nothing on the internet to speak of that you could learn from. So yeah, we did a lot of experimenting and then we came up with these courses. So, well, here's a recent one. So this looks like the one we were, oh, there. That. Fine. We need French kiss. Okay, so it's all the same size. I'll just drag that on again and we'll do the, no, cancel.
Darlene, how do I explain to my wife that we were talking about French kiss today? I think you can take over.
You can Google that. I
Could
think
you
you
re
should I think you should put French kiss artist.
could you
That's
record
getting
that conversation?
that's getting worse.
I've taped this, don't forget.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness me.
Okay, so guys, we want to blend these together so that we can see our picture. And we're going to, we'll try overlay. And then we'll just reduce that opacity, just so that it's got a bit of a hint there. And that's basically all you have to do to this one, unless you decided you want to take the texture off the people. In that case, again, we put a mask and we'll paint with black. And I'll do it big so you can see, are we at, and we're at 100% opacity. So we'll do it big so you can see. just
Okay.
how much we've added. Okay. So of course that's way too big, so I'll make my brush a little bit smaller, and then I want to paint the texture back on. So I want to make this white, and I'll put it back on. So there's where the texture is going back on. So just so you can see, and if you just keep messing around, you'll learn a lot about this, but for heaven's sakes, don't erase. Don't use the eraser, because I'll show you why once I find the eraser, because I never use it. Oh, here it is. So let's say I decide I'm going to erase the texture off this part. So I merrily do that. And then I'll maybe take it off these trees, and then, oh, we'll take some off down here just for fun, okay? So now I say, oh, well, that doesn't look very good. I want to put it back up here. I have to go back in my history to be able to do that. So if you had spent a lot of time erasing and you very carefully erased around these guys, and then you save it and you went, oh, I made a mistake. You know, I left some of this gray or the light pink area. You can't fix it. But if you saved a Photoshop file, I can go in a year from now and I can change what I do here. I can paint that back on. I could fix it up however I want. So don't erase. It's really
Mhm.
important to use the masking tool.
Good point to know.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Diane,
hmm
Diane, yeah,
Darlene,
sorry, it's my aging memory.
that's okay.
Um, would it be possible to use for the masking there, like a radial gradient of some kind, so you could rely on the feathering to sort
Oh,
of,
yeah, I guess you could. On the brush here, in the brush, this one was set. Well, I ended up when I came back with a hard brush, and I hadn't checked that. Sorry, when it went down. Um, Here's my soft round, but if I okay, I'll do it here. Uh, oh, I can't tell there. How come I'm not doing it? Oh, I'm on the eraser. No wonder. B for brush. Okay. So this is my brush, and it's okay. Hold on. Again, the crash. Soft round. It's what we want. There's no hardness on this one. Okay. Ignore what I've got up here. So can you see how it's soft around the edges
yeah,
as compared to here? Well, if I decide I want that a little bit harder, I can just increase the hardness of the edge. So let's go up to 100%, and then let's bring it down to, oh, maybe 20%, okay? And I'll do another swipe. So you can see there's a little bit of feathering around the edge there.
yeah.
So it's all on the softness of the brush. And now we'll make it with no hardness. So we should be getting, see the softness?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
softness.
the gradient, I don't use that often, so I'll experiment with that.
Yeah,
But I
because the gradient will give you, much more control over the feathering.
yeah,
You can have
yeah.
quite a bit of feathering with the gradient.
Okay, so give that a try and just experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll just go back up here. The other thing I'm just going to show you quickly. I'll put this up to 100%, which is too much. And then we did the blending mode, and it's still too much. And so we decreased the opacity here. But let's just go back to normal. And we could just change the opacity here, and sometimes this works for things. So you can mess around with the opacity without doing a blending mode. So it's entirely up to you, but the blending modes are pretty powerful. So if we wanted something like that, fine. You decide what you want to do. And then make sure you save your PSD file and then save a JPEG so that you can always go back to that PSD and fix stuff up. Okay, so that's it. That's what I got to tell you today.
Thank you.
You want to stop sharing, Darlene?
I could do that. Stop share. There we go.
Thank you, Darlene. Very good.
Yeah, so if anybody
thank you
has
very
any
much.
questions, Connie, you sent those dog pictures, but I ran into a problem on my PC because it doesn't read HEIC, which is the iPhone format. And I was using that HEIC on my iPhone when I first got it. And I went in and I don't even know how I did it. I Googled it. And I changed it to JPEG because nothing can read that HEIC except Apple.
Yeah, I brought it in to my PC and I changed it, to a JPEG to work with it. But I
Okay.
had that one photo that I was just not, I was fighting with it because my knowledge is not there.
Okay.
So that I was trying to decide the body size of the dogs. It looked like I took scissors and cut it, like it was so harsh that
Yeah.
it,
I think
it
when
should
you
mark up,
select
but I
the
don't have-
when you select the edge, make sure you feather that edge.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
So
try that.
would have to
I
look.
just used the tool where it's like select subject and then I remove the background. But well, I guess when it selected the subject, it was really a hard line around the body.
Mhm.
And it's funny because it took the rest of it, like with the head and the towel, it took all the fine pieces and did a great job with that. So
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
have to play more.
Okay. I'm sorry I couldn't help you out on
Oh,
that
that's
one.
okay. That's okay.
When I went to download it today, I went, holy, this won't work. And it said it would have to install something else on
Oh,
Photoshop.
different.
No.
Okay, I
Okay, well,
guess what we'll do is, Darlene, thank you. It's
Thank
you're
you so
welcome.
much.
really,
I'm
really
sorry
good.
I ran over. I took way too
No,
much time.
no. We've got
Keep
nothing
going.
but time.
Keep going.
The name of it is creative retirement. We're all retired.
Yeah.
We've got
So
lots of time.
you guys can all work on masking and like adding layers together. Just try it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Keep
Mhm.
keep working at it.
Great.
And I'm a paper person. I don't do well with videos. So everything, I've got little recipe cards for stuff. And don't be afraid to have a lot of notes and refer back because it's easy to forget. If you go away for 2 weeks, you forget a lot of what you were doing.
Thank you very much, Darlene.
Okay.
And I'm sure I'll be getting lots of little messages from everybody saying, can you get her back?
Okay, well, I'm going to run this afternoon. I'd like to stay for Brian's. I saw it the other night. I could use a review on the turning day tonight, but
Thank you very much.
okay, thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me, guys.
Thank
Thank
you,
I'll
you,
share
Darlene.
Darlene.
my screen now.
You're welcome.
Oh, okay. I don't know what we got here. Um, okay. Anyways, can everybody still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Oops, I don't know where I am here right now, but oops. Okay, I got everybody's picture along the bottom here. I'm trying to move it. There. Okay, I'm getting to Lightroom here. Now, this picture here is a picture I took in London. Um, I did a date and night the other night for the Brandon Photography Club. I'm not going to spend as much time, you'll see, doing some of the editing here, but I'll give you an idea of how I did this. And what I ended up with was this. as you can see, it's quite a bit different, but it's one of the things we did was straighten the lamp post. We got rid of a lot of the garbage that was in the street. We got rid of, when I bring it back, you'll see all the bikes. Um, and we see a light here and a light here, and the lantern is glowing. So we'll go back to here, that one there. And now we'll start out initially here, and I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between Lightroom and Photoshop. And so the first thing that we're in the develop module, and the first thing that I usually do, I'll go down here, is just pull down some of the exposure just a little wee bit, just to start with. Then now I'm going to go into Photoshop. So it's edit in Photoshop. Now, if anybody is in Photoshop and use it all, as you can see here, it says edit in, and I've got edit, very top line says edit in Photoshop. If I had more than one item, one photo selected, and I go in there to edit in, if you look at the very bottom of that, it's darkened out right now. It says open layers in Photoshop. And so if I just, instead of opening editing in Photoshop, if I bring it down to open as layers in Photoshop, all of a sudden it brings them all up. So they're all set right into Photoshop. But because I've only got one chosen right now, I'll just pick edit in Photoshop. Okay, now I can edit a photocopy. And there, now I'm in Photoshop, and like Darlene said, it's non-destructible and so on, as totally destructive if we change. So the first thing I usually do is I just right click and I duplicate layer. I got to move there. Now, what we're going to do is get rid of some of the garbage on the street first of all. So if I use the lasso tool, which Darlene was talking about before, and just show you how effective it is, if I don't even have to be very close. And I just say remove. And because like Darlene says, there, it's gone. And if I want to get rid of the grate here, remove. Now this is where I'm going to enlarge. There, no. See all the bikes here again. This is using AI. Just how powerful that is. Remove. Bikes are gone. And the people, same thing.
So you're just using the lasso tool,
Using the lasso tool
yeah.
and using the generative fill, but I'm using the remove portion of it. It's really quite incredible. You get rid of the garbage can here too. Oops. As you can see, I'm not even being really careful.
There's something, while you're doing that, just very quickly, something I found out the other day. I was looking for generative fill, and it wasn't that splash screen at the bottom, wasn't coming up. And I found out that you have to make your selection first. If it's missing, you have to make a selection and then it shows up.
Oh, is that?
Have you found that to be the case?
No, I find that it's always on there. Sometimes it's a bit of a
Yeah.
nuisance and I've got to move it around.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know you can
So,
go to Windows and select things there and so on, but yeah. Anyway, it's just I don't want
let's
to
get rid
interrupt.
of this for right now. Yeah. No, without, spending a lot of time, I can do things like take the grate out, take this little piece of garbage out here, kind of go around. And the fellow that I took this course with in London, he was really picky. Like anytime we would have a street, as an example, if there was these little white lines in here, he'd be picking those out too. So we ended up with a very nice photo. Now, whoops. Said. By the way, Command Z is your friend.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you'll find that Command Z is used a lot. Now, the other thing with generative fill, Command C, oops, Option C rather. Okay, we'll move this down here a little bit. There. And done. Okay, no. Okay. No, I no, I got the old one back on here. Why have I got that? Hmm. Back. What I've done here. Hmm. Well, I'll quickly just remove some of that stuff again. Hmm. Frustrated here. I've never had this happen. Darn it. I'm just gonna quit this just quickly and now we'll edit in. Okay, you saw how I did this. Remove. Okay, now okay, now in Photoshop. Okay, now next thing I'm going to do here, just without going into a lot of the stuff, but sky replacement. So I can pick my skies out and it should give me a select sky. Going on. Why is it picking that? Deselect. Okay, I'm gonna do something here first. One of the I don't know why I'm having trouble here, but one of the things we did here before was when we close out of Photoshop and then close and then save after you hit close. And it'll take you back to Lightroom. It's supposed to. It's awful embarrassing here. Okay. What's going on here? Anyways, one of the first things that we usually did was go into transform, and that because if you notice the buildings are a little crooked, the lamppost is crooked. So if we hit auto here and the transform, it straightens everything out. Now, I'm going to stay in Lightroom here for a few minutes, and I'm going to zoom in and I'll go back to basic. I'm going to go to exposure again, like I did the first time. And I'm going to light up this lantern. And so we go to there. And I'm going to use a radial gradient. And I'm going to make it quite large. And I'm going to bring up exposure on this radial gradient. But if you notice, the color is spread out quite a bit from the light. Now, what you generally try and do is figure out, okay, where are you standing? Do you want to have the light go to a different direction? But we also want to get rid of all this because obviously the light doesn't go up there. So we hit subtract and we hit, in this case, brush. And so we want full flow, we have full density. And okay, I'm going to get rid of no feather. Okay, so now oops, it looks like I'm painting over, but I'm really just removing that gradient that I put on there. Now, if I really want to see, you can show the overlay there. That's where the colors were. Now, what can be really difficult is when you're going into detail like this. So, but if I click here, hold the shift, move down to this end, hit click again, it'll draw a straight line. Hit there, come down here again, click straight line. Rather than click, you can just actually keep going like that. And keep clicking. And make it larger and again painting all that bright light away. We've already outlined it. Now if I have to go out a little bit, you'll see. And get rid of the overlay. And you can see how that's now if I come down into the temperature here, I can actually add a little bit of yellow to it and just a little bit of a tint to it, just to change the color a little bit. If that's not quite enough, then I can actually go back in here and I can duplicate. There, now that made it really bright. And I can bring the exposure down just a little bit again. Well, I'm gonna, if you notice this little bulb here, right now it's showing there's a lot of light in there, but it doesn't show where it's coming from. So I'm gonna create another gradient, another radial gradient. And I'm just gonna put it right here. Bring it down a little bit. And bring the exposure up on it.
Mhm.
And I can do the same. I can duplicate that. And I can put it over here. Whoops. Well, now if we run into a problem like that, Command Z. There. Will take you back out. So I'll create another one. Create another radiant. And same thing again. And exposure. Again, if I want a little bit more light, I can duplicate that and lay it over top. But now, get rid of the gradients here. Back out. And you can see, no, but it does not showing where it's landing on the ground. So another radial gradient. And mask, create a gradient. And another radial. This time we might want to have a little bit of a mask to it, or I mean a feather to it. Now again, where's the light shining to? So we exposure. And if we want to bring a little yellow onto it. Now we've done that, we can actually bring the exposure down the whole picture a little bit. And those lights are shining a little more. But suppose that right over here, that we, let's say up in this window here, we want to create another gradient, another radial gradient. Get rid of that. Bring the exposure up. And temperature up a little bit. Now we're going to zoom in quite a bit here. Now, this is where it can be fairly time consuming if we want to subtract. Again, we use a brush and make this small. Click and shift. Okay, we must be feather or flow. Yeah, 100% feather. No, okay. Not getting much of a flow here. 100% feather size. Mask. As you can see, you can actually make pretty good time when you're using the click on the spot, hit your shift button, and then click again. Now, I'm doing this really fast. Again, but you can take your brush again and subtract brush. and use a big brush and go around to the outside. Kind of clean that up. But again, if you want to create another mask, another radial, and you can have your light. Where's the light coming from? And okay, let's twist it a little bit, let's shrink them in. And bring up the exposure just a little bit. And again, bring up the color temperature just a little bit. And I did it very quickly there, but you can get the idea where you try and figure out the direction the light is coming from. One of the key things is, now if I was to do this one here as an example and create another mask, and create one. Oops. There's nothing. Oh, we gotta get rid of the mask, that's why. There. Oh. You create a mask there. Create a new mask. Again, what we used in England when I was doing this was we used 99% radial masks. And as an example, we would take a window like this one and we'd say, okay, where's the light bulb in there? So it might be up in this corner here. And so we change it a little bit, twist it. And the light bulb is up there. And we bring the exposure up a little bit. And maybe bring this down a little there. And then do a subtract brush. Again, if I was to take the time, I would go along and do the shift and pick and so on like this. Then we might even go and add another radial gradient, and up in this corner here, might do that and bring a little more exposure so that's where the light bulb's coming from. And then create another mask, another radial, and maybe on this wall over here is where the light is shining to. Exposure. Set the masks off. And like I said, I'm doing these very, very quickly. But you kind of get the idea that all of a sudden we've got things lit up a little bit right now. If we were to go into here, create a mask, sky. Okay, and we can darken the sky as an example. Normally we'd go into another program. In fact, I will. As an example, edit in Luminar Neo. This is just another program, Luminar Neo. Edit. Okay. Erase sky. Usually this will pick the sky out just in no time. And it's possibly just because there isn't much sky there right now, but again, I've never had to cancel it. Okay. But always, when you pick the sky out and it changed the sky a little bit, I'm going to go back into Photoshop, edit in Photoshop. Sky. There. Edit. Sky replacement. Okay, we'll do that. Temperature, okay, scale. Okay, good. Just use that. Save. That didn't work very well either there. There we go. And we can even bring the exposure down a little bit more. And I suppose if we wanted, and this is the picture I did because the bikes are still there. I guess when I redid it, I didn't take the bikes out. But I think you kind of get the idea there that with with the filters here by going into the radial, and you can get the radial gradients, the linear gradient. As an example, if you're not familiar with the linear gradient, you can do that and come up from the bottom here. And we could, that's from dark to light or light to dark, whatever you want to call it. And now, one of the things, I'll get rid of the gradient. Just some information as far as Lightroom. When you go down like exposure, you can, as example, up in your contrast and highlights, so you can get rid of the highlight parts in the picture. And shadows, you can open up the shadows as an example. Down here, there's the whites. If you hold your option on a Mac option and it turns black. And if I was to turn the histogram on right now, and you'd see that if I was to do that and that, when it starts bringing some of that white in, you can see on the histogram over here, when it brings that white in, it'll generally be blowing your picture, your whites out, your lights. And the same with the blacks if you do that and then just bring it so there's just a little bit of black going in and you're not clipping them. Okay. So now if you look, the picture we just did there now, there's the one I did before. And there's the original. Good. So that you can see the sky and I mean obviously I just didn't take what I take 15 minutes to play around there and I had a mistake or two. I even extended the post on it just by using generative fill. Spread the light out a little bit more, got rid of all the garbage, got rid of the bikes and the people, lightened that window up a little bit, and it's a lot of fun, really. That there's a fellow by the name of Jamie, Jamieer Mathlin, Mathlin. That's Mathlin. He has a lot of videos on YouTube on day to night. I started watching one of these a year and a half or so ago, and I really got intrigued just how you could play around with the filters. And I thought, boy, there's so much just going into develop here and going into these, and you're masking. And so I started playing around more and more and got quite intrigued with it. And then I noticed he had a course. And my wife and I, we'd never been to England, or I hadn't, she had been. And I said, there's a course there. I'd really like to take that course. And as it was, we were about a 15-minute walk, if that, maybe a 6-minute walk to the Tower Bridge. The course included accommodations and meals and so on. And it was a little more than I'd want to spend for a holiday, but to me, it was really worth it. And I mean, Darlene was really very, very interesting today, and I would have maybe liked to spend a little more time doing this. But I think there was so much that we gathered from Darlene that I kind of cut that short.
I like your spotlighting there, Brian. I like the technique for using the spotlighting.
Well, yeah, by using the radial filter there, the radial
Yeah.
mask, it's so versatile. You can, um, as an example, the picture that you sent, Brian, and I'm sorry we just don't have time to go into it today.
No, that's quite all right.
But I will just quickly, I'm going to share my screen again.
We can do it another time.
Yeah. Um, but I just quickly played with that picture. That picture he sent, and any changes in there I did with the radial filter, the radial mask.
Wow.
Cool.
They're very, very powerful, those is there we learned a lot today. And if there's anybody has any questions or any suggestions or
Brian, Brian,
yeah.
I put something into the chat. A while ago I watched quite a good and very brief tutorial on using Photoshop to turn day into night.
Mhm.
And I've just looked it up again, and I've put it into the chat with the website.
Good, thank you.
And what I do like about it, and maybe it's just because of my attention span, but he has written instructions as well as a video.
Mhm.
I really don't seem to function very well just with video. I've got to read things.
Well, yeah,
So,
and I'm just the opposite.
Yeah.
In fact, Darlene and I have discussed it. As she mentioned, she's a writer and I'm a looker.
Did you say a good looker?
Well, I keep leaning on Darlene, and I'm relatively new to all this. Just a matter of a couple of years ago, I didn't know a thing about Lightroom or Photoshop, but I watch a
Yeah.
lot of YouTube, and unfortunately, I don't spend. I've got nobody a lot of times to look over their shoulder, and there's a fellow from Mendoza, Pat Stone, and I just bought a new camera. I bought an R6 Mark II, and so I was trying to set it up here last week, and I was trying to send some photos, and I was having trouble. So Pat came, and we spent some time on it, and um, that's the one thing I think all of us can do is lean on each other if we have any
mhm.
questions, and that's the object of the group as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you're quite right,
Yeah.
Brian. I really do struggle with the tutorials. I have a separate screen or an old computer that I watch the tutorial on, and then I do the work
Well, I do the
on my
same. I have an iPad.
computer. Yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
bring it up on the iPad and watch
Yeah,
it and then make my changes from there.
exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, it's just so powerful, the programs, they really are. And like someone said, if you don't touch it for a week or something, you go back to the same thing. And I've got a cluster of tutorials at various how much time we got, Brian? We've got a minute. I just want to show you something very
Yep,
quickly.
sure do.
Don't mind. I hope I can hate to be. Oh, I've got to go to screen share here.
Uh, Connie
Yeah.
belongs to the Manitoba Club. And I'm fairly new to it. Ed, are you with the Manitoba Club, aren't you?
No, I'm with the Winnipeg South.
Yeah.
Oh, I
And
can't get. I can
who's
hear
all with the
you.
Manitoba Club? I guess I put it that way. I am and Connie.
I
I
am.
am. Yeah,
Yeah,
I am.
Brian, I thought so. I just find that when we go to these meetings, there's always somebody that knows something that you can tap their brain a little bit. And the Brandon Photography Club, Darlene and I both belong to it. And
Hmm.
it's a smaller club, so and Brandon's a smaller city, so we get together and then I met Connie here a while ago. We had a portrait session in Winnipeg. I'd give my teeth to have another one, or
That
even
would
even
be
even
good.
something like that. It was so beneficial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to do something
I'll
less.
leave this till next week. I just wanted to show you how I've organized my tutorials instead of having them in a maybe just bear with me 1 second. See if here it is here.
Mhm.
Can you guys see that
Yep.
sort
Yeah.
of perfect screen? Okay, let me just all right. Sorry about the glare. So this that's next week. I just want to show you. This is go back.
And what are you storing those with, Brian?
That's just in a where's it gone now? Oh, okay. So can you see that screen there with
Yep.
Mhm.
so what I came up with is a just a spreadsheet. And
Mhm.
across the top, I've got the outcome, what I expect to get from the tutorial, the website, and the time. Now, the time I've got to have it less than 3, 4 minutes. I don't want to spend 15 minutes trying to find out how to put a border around a bloody photograph, particularly when I was so used to on one, it's so easy. Click, click, and you've got your borders. But nonetheless, and I've got here whatever comments I want to make. I've only just started this about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So what I have here then is the outcome. If I want something in layers, I can find it, background cloning, I can find it fairly easily. And then layers, if a layer is missing, this is the website for it. I want to adjust a layer and so on, background, blur,
Mhm.
replace, and so on down the line. Then I've got the time here. And if it's broken down, such as this one for cloning advanced, I've got the time for clone the object, remove the object, and so on. So I've just put it in something simple like that rather than what I had before, a cluster of favorites, and how do I find my cloning, my borders, my triptychs, and so on. And yeah, so there we are. That's what I just wanted to show you. So you can make use of it, and that's all I did. It's just in a spreadsheet, and of course you can add. I've colored them to highlight them, and I mean, I think we all know how to do that. So
Wow,
if
talk
it's
about
any
organized.
well, it just
I'll
seems
say.
all that searching down 30, 40 lines to find a 3 or 4. And I'm not into 15-minute tutorials at all. I try and keep them, I search for the ones which short, sweet. Probably says a lot about me, but
Yeah.
nonetheless. Okay, I'm going to go, guys. I'll stop sharing the screen and we'll look
Well,
at the other things
that
next time.
that's a neat way of doing it. My problem is I've got the attention span of a Bartlett pear, so it
I'm the same. I think probably we're all the same, and I just don't want to spend all that time on these things. But anyway, there we are. All right, everyone. I must go. Excellent meeting, and thank you, Brian, for arranging it. And
Yeah.
look forward to seeing
Anybody,
you.
any suggestions for next time?
Oh gosh. Oh, thanks. All right.
I can um talk to some of the other people that I know and see if maybe Darlene would come back or whatever. I think we all learned an awful lot today with
Yeah,
Photoshop.
that would be
It's
good.
really good.
But I know she's going to Mexico shortly. They go to Mazatlan for the winter.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And but I'll see what we can put together and we'll see you in a month. And in the meantime, if there's any questions, one of the things I just stopped is
I'd like to do something on one, but the way it's performing for me is just